talking about the need of youth and capacity building, what avenues do you believe a young change maker must pursue if they wish to understand and partake in youth diplomacy? If you could please answer that, Leonie. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question? I was so mesmerized by your delivery. It's almost like a radio narrator that I was just listening to the beautiful
Okay.
of your voice so youth diplomacy.
Thank you. Youth diplomacy, right?
That's diplomacy
Okay,
right
I'll
there.
just
Good diplomacy, Leonie.
right. So basically, the question is, what avenues do you think a change maker must pursue if they wish to understand and partake in youth diplomacy? Like, do they need a college education, a diploma, a degree in this, or experience, relevant experience? What can they pursue?
So can you be a diplomat without having a typical diplomatic career? It's a little bit like that, or how much can you be an ambassador for a certain cause without higher education degree? Do you need the experience or not? Is that the question, or is the question very particular about diplomacy?
Not exactly. It's not as formal. If you get that joke.
Okay.
It's not as formal, yeah.
Okay.
So you don't exactly have to have that diplomat title into it. Yeah, you could just.
Okay. So it's not okay. So the question is rather about do you need a degree to be successful in a certain field? Like in your case, it was like diplomacy, which you have mentioned, or is it like the experience?
Yes. What can they pursue? Yes.
Okay. So in general, I think it is good to have both. It is not either or. It's not either having a university degree or having experience, because at the end, what matters is that it's a lifelong learning process. And that combines different things in your educational career. It doesn't need to be from a university. You can also pursue this in a technical vocational institute, and you can have a lot of detours or shortcuts in whatever you wish to achieve at the end. So if you ask me about what is more important, I mean, it's very context specific, and it's really, what is your ultimate objective? Is your ultimate objective prestige or fulfilling certain expectations? Is your ultimate objective you want to have intellectual enlightenment and personal fulfillment? Or is it very simple, do I want to have a job in diplomacy, or do I want to have a certain job? Is it about financial stability? So each of them have different, I think, different career paths in place, and there's no one size fits all. Most important is that we are aware that you might work as a diplomat maybe in 5 years, but you might change your career in 10 years. So you better be able to learn quickly what you need to do in the next 5 years. Then you probably have to unlearn a little bit, because your diplomatic expertise is not so useful in your next job. So you unlearn, and then you have to relearn again, maybe because you enter again after 15 years the same career sector. So it's about learning ability and the ability of learnability, or ability, if this word exists, ability to learn. Yeah. So it's neither nor. It's both.
True. So sorry. Good. Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly true, especially in the age of, because we're talking about digital ages. It's very true about it's very true in our age, which is very fast moving, and something or the other is happening every 2 years, 5 years, and you find yourself wanting to relearn everything about life. And I think growing up, that's the one thing that my generation maybe is having the most trouble with, but also is a prospect that we find the most exciting, because we change careers more quickly than people change their clothes. And I mean, that's kind of exciting to be able to hear from you as well. Scott, do you mind if I ask the last question?
Yes, you most certainly can.
Can I add to that, Rutaba? Something which is also very important is how much
Yeah.
are you actually from your, if you pursue, for example, a higher education course, how much are you actually using in your future?
Yeah.
And how much knowledge which you
True.
have learned. So it's beautiful and it's wonderful to have the opportunity to pursue a higher education degree. But
Yeah.
it should never be considered as higher in the terms of hierarchy than any other degree. And I think that's a big challenge in the education sector, because here the association of prestige comes in. And sorry, I mean, be a little bit mean now, but I recently I read an article, and it was exactly about the value of higher education degrees and the reputation of universities. So let me ask you a question. If you have, let's assume you have the opportunity to study at an Ivy League in a higher education institution, would you prefer the Ivy League degree or the certificate to the education, or would you prefer the Ivy League education and then not having the degree? What would you choose? Would you choose the degree from Harvard, but actually not really having that, the real, not that the real experience, but not having, an education experience which suited to your needs? Or would you rather have the education which suits your needs without that degree?
Yeah. Well, I know my answer will be slightly different, but I know that where you're coming from. I know that people will be drawn to Ivy Leagues. People will be drawn to the idea of prestige to an Ivy League school and being associated with, because that's where the power corridors are. And more than anything, I mean, even if you're not getting education, you want to get a degree from Harvard or Yale or places like that. But I don't particularly believe in that. But that's only because my educational trajectory personally has been very different. I had to drop out of school because of financial reasons. And so I had to rely on education as a means of identity and empowering myself. And when that reality sets in, you don't care about whether you're getting a degree from Harvard or whether you're getting a degree from State University in Pakistan. All you care about is the quality of education, how it's enriching you, and how it's making you, it's making you capable enough to work in the market outside of your homes and just out there. And so for me, the principle of education is about empowering individuals intellectually and in skills, so that they can provide for themselves and maybe their families, and then on a larger scale to their communities. So that would be my answer to your question, but I understand completely where you're coming from.
Scott had enough time to think about it as well. If he chooses or if he chooses an education path. Don't need to answer, Scott. I know it's a tricky question.
Yeah.
But you just maybe giving Scott more time to think. I think we are kind of now entering into an age where we're thinking about these things, where we have leading big wigs talk about how it's not necessary for you to have a particular degree to enter our companies. And I think that's going to change the way we look at expertise. For example, Google now talks about people having the certification that they offer. And so people don't really need 4-year undergraduate degrees or master's degree to enter Google, which is a great precedence. And I think that will trickle down into other parts. But it will take a lot of time, I think, especially in the developing world, which kind of relies on a very European model of education. But until that happens, we've got to hold out onto our principles. But Scott, would you like to say something on what Leonie asked, or would you like to just skim it over?
The question was.
Yes, the question was something else.
Would I prefer one of the two, right? Was that the question? That was the question,
was,
right?
Yeah.
Because you kind of took it to a whole new level. I got kind of lost.
I'm so sorry. I do get carried away when we're having interesting conversation.
No,
I apologize for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yo. That's good. Yeah. Okay. If that's the question, like either a Harvard education or
just anywhere else where you're getting education.
Yeah, just anywhere else, a proper education. First of all, I would never get into Harvard. A friend of mine did get into Harvard, actually, very well of him. I would probably, if there was an opportunity to go to Harvard, think it's for me. It's a debatable question, and I don't exactly
Hmm.
like how all of you are staring at me. Well,
But
well, for
that's
me,
another element, the competitiveness of all. I hate that. I
yeah,
hate that there's this idea of competitiveness when you're like signifying that only 1% get into universities and colleges instead of talking about how we need more
exactly,
universities or
yes.
more education platforms for students. So yeah, there you go. As it is clear, I do not appreciate the current education system.
As someone from a Asian background,
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm Asian, yeah. I think um, an Asian answer, which my ancestors and every other Asian would like me to say, is go for Harvard because you get money, you get a car, you get a nice house, you get a good wife, you get great children, you die a happy life with many
Yeah, and a great
numbers of
big debt.
zeros at the back of ones at your bank account. Yeah, but
No.
yeah, I think that's a typical Asian answer. I would love a proper, a good education as compared to this, but that's how the world works. I mean, we
Hmm.
can sure try to change the world, but oh well, it's the world, right? Peer
Hmm.
pressure here and there. Yeah, yeah, but that's my answer. Yeah, I mean, it's debatable, of course, and that is
True.
why I would like to say, if I have like 30 more seconds, I would like to say that that's why we have podcasts like this. Now, I'm not promoting it. I don't get paid anything for this, but if you look at the bright side of things, although you are going to like Harvard, Princeton, Cambridge, Yale, whatever, you have these alternative non-systematic approaches to education, like our podcast, for example. So tune in some more. Okay.